Every year, thousands leave behind everything they know, chasing dreams across oceans. This is the story of one such journey, a tale of resilience, unexpected love, and finding home in the most unlikely circumstances. He grew up hearing stories of opportunities beyond the horizon. Where he came from, success often meant living. In his neighborhood, those who returned from abroad were treated like royalty, living proof that sacrifice could lead to triumph. What the postcards and proud returnees didn't show were the sleepless nights, the bone-deep loneliness and humiliation that awaited in the promised land. But he was young, determined, and believed that hardship was merely the price of dreams. Reality hit hard. The gleaming city from television looked different up close. Colder, faster, indifferent to newcomers. His savings disappeared quickly. His qualifications meant nothing here. His accent became a barrier. He found shelter in the basement of another immigrant family, people who had arrived years before and now collected government benefits. They had crossed the same bridge but forgotten how treacherous the journey had been. To them, he was just income, another desperate soul willing to pay for a corner to exist in. Each morning began before sunrise. Each night ended long after sunset. Between jobs, he would send whatever he could save back home, where his sacrifice was measured in remittances, not tears. During a catering job at a university event, he met her. She had traveled from Eastern Europe to study in America and was visiting the city for a conference. Two strangers, both foreigners, both carrying the weight of displacement, but from entirely different worlds. What began as curious conversation blossomed into something neither expected. Through video calls, spanning time zones, they found in each other what the new world had taken: recognition, understanding, home. When she announced that she would visit during her break, the basement room that had been his prison suddenly felt shameful. But love doesn't see walls or status, a truth he was yet to fully believe. As she emerged through the arrival gates, time slowed. In her eyes, he saw no judgment but joy. Their embrace spoke volumes that words could never capture. The journey to his humble abode felt like walking to a scaffold. Would she see him differently once the reality of his circumstances became clear? Would the magic dissolve in the harsh light of his poverty? Then came the call that shattered everything. The landlady, sensing an opportunity to exploit or genuinely concerned about housing regulations, delivered an ultimatum. His presence with a guest like her was suddenly problematic. The subtext was clear. She was too good for a place like this, for a man like him. Where would they go? How could he explain this without confirming what he feared she already thought? That he was a failure, a fraud playing at success. But when he finally gathered the courage to explain, something remarkable happened. There was no judgment in her response, no disappointment. Instead, there was understanding that transcended culture and circumstance. During the precious days they had together, she never once made him feel less of a man. In her eyes, his struggle wasn't weakness, it was strength. His modest circumstances weren't shameful, they were temporary. When she returned to her studies, the city felt colder than ever, but something had changed within him. The borrowed confidence from her belief became his own. He reached out to another friend who welcomed him without hesitation. Temporary shelter became a launching pad. With renewed determination, he applied for positions that once seemed beyond reach. He studied at night, improved his language skills, and networked with relentless purpose. When his girlfriend announced an Easter visit, shame resurged. How could he explain that he was now essentially homeless? But courage prevailed, and when he confessed his situation, his friend's immediate acceptance reminded him that true friendship, like true love, sees beyond circumstances. It was then he understood the profound truth. Love knows no boundaries, not geography, not culture, not social status. This realization carried him forward, fueling his determination. Soon his persistence paid off with a better job that enabled him to secure his own one-bedroom apartment. A modest palace by his standards, but rich with promise of independence. Unknown to him, his girlfriend harbored secrets of her own. Born to wealth, her mother headed a company building luxury hotels across Eastern Europe. Noting her daughter's frequent travels, the mother tested the relationship by withdrawing financial support. Yet their bond only strengthened as he sacrificed everything to maintain their connection, never knowing her privileged background. Suspicious of his intentions, her mother engineered a meeting during an airport layover. She questioned him about his family, his roots, his future plans. His honest answers revealed a man deeply connected to his heritage but capable of building a new life abroad. Despite seeing his sincerity, doubts lingered in the mother's heart. She advised her daughter to end the relationship, labeling him a gold digger, words that remained hidden until they surfaced during a conversation about marriage. The revelation shattered something fundamental between them. In his culture, marital blessing was essential for a union to thrive. Slowly, their love began to unravel. Cultural differences and family expectations proved too formidable, even for hearts as determined as theirs. They parted ways, maintaining a connection across the growing distance of their separate lives. He found love again with a woman from his homeland. They married, had 6 children, built the family he had always envisioned. His former girlfriend also married but faced the heartbreak of childlessness despite medical intervention. Different paths, different joys, different sorrows, the unpredictable tapestry of life. His journey reminds us that sometimes the greatest treasures we find aren't the ones we set out seeking. He left home in search of prosperity, but found instead the immeasurable wealth of self-knowledge, resilience, and the capacity to love across boundaries. Though one love was lost, it shaped him in ways that made other loves possible. And perhaps that is success, not the absence of hardship, but the courage to face it, not the perfect fulfillment of original dreams, but the wisdom to recognize the value of what we've become along the way, from a basement room to a home of his own, from solitude to family, from uncertainty to purpose. His is a story not of arrival but of a continuous becoming. For in the end, the journey that matters most is not the one that carries us across oceans, but the one that leads us home to ourselves. What about your journey? Where is it leading you? For more stories like this, subscribe and like. Stay tuned to The Real Crow.